Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited because today I get to talk to two of my favorite people, Licia Berry and Diana Aldereguia. And we're going to be talking about the C.H.A.M.P.I.O.N.S book project and Memories in a Mansion. So before we get started with our in-depth interview with Licia Berry, let's ask Diana a little bit more about Memories in a Mansion. Diana?
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you so much. Memories in a Mansion is a global leadership academy. It's for empowering the lives of over 10 million plus women at risk, exiting foster care, being victims of domestic violence and trafficking. We're transforming them into strong, compassionate, and self-sufficient leaders for tomorrow. Memories in a Mansion is taking the young women off the streets and out of their troubled environments and into a hands-on extended in-house program, which includes training, coaching, and mentoring on self-worth, personal care and hygiene, personal development, business skills, public speaking skills, and career planning. That's only the tip of the iceberg. And there's so much more. And there's a book launch with Licia Berry, Tammy Patzer, and several others in the book called Champions, Mentoring Creates Change, which is a book of how people don't make it on their own, how there's always someone, a mentor, how they've overcome challenges. We all have them. We all have had challenges in our lives, some a little more, some a little less, some a little more impacting, but they've all made us grow. And that's what the stories are about.
Well, thank you so much. And I am really happy to be involved in the Champions Mentoring Creates Change project for Memories in a Mansion. So, Licia Berry, I'm so happy to see you. I understand that you're just returning from a 2-year book tour. So before you tell us about that, I want to tell everyone more about you and what your background is. So Licia Berry is a purpose consultant. She's a #1 international best-selling author, speaker, and women's advocate. She's a 30-plus year veteran educator and practitioner with an international clientele. Utilizing creative, psychological, neurobiological, and indigenous approaches, Licia is a pioneer of the Aquarian, or Partnered Power With movement. She's the creator of the Purpose Ship movement, the Soul Print process, and founder and president of the Daughters of Earth Women's Leadership Institute, where she nurtures and mentors women called to midwife the world into a new era. She's the author of the #1 international bestseller, I Am Her Daughter, The Healing Path to a Woman's Power, as well as other books. She travels internationally full-time to spread the message of equality, wholeness, and whole brain leadership. She wants very much to see women and men sharing power and leading the world in partnership. So with that, I want to just say welcome, Licia, and tell me more about the chapter that you wrote about the champions. I understand it's all about leadership and accountability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the invitation to be part of this project was very near and dear to my heart, as is Diana, and this movement, her work. It's all around giving the yes message to girls, and those are going to become the women leaders, in our world. And what I wrote about in the book was how important it is to be in deep devotion to listening to our own internal guidance and our own sense of purpose, and being accountable to that purpose. Purpose meaning, why am I here? Why, what am I called to? What keeps me up at night? What would I die for? These are questions that aren't asked as often as I would like to see in today's world. And I know that some of us really feel a call to purpose, like, Diana feels a call to support these young women. I feel a call to support all women coming into leadership. And it's interesting because when I say leadership, often that scares women away. There's this supposition that leadership means power over. Like, I'm the leader and you are the little person who has to follow me. And it's sort of like this is the archaic model of leadership that we're all kind of trying to birth out of right now. The old style of leadership we're all used to seeing, but leadership in the sense of us just doing something first, being an influencer. I mean, we are all leaders in our families, in our marriages, in our communities, in our businesses. We are each and every one of us leading. But we don't like to tend to think of ourselves that way. And when we're on purpose, when we're really tapped into that inner guidance about who are we? Who am I to be? Why am I here? And asking ourselves those questions, then we really step into a whole different style and impact in our leadership, because we're leading by being. We're leading from this place of absolute knowing, and that can't be argued with. There's a whole different level of visibility, and we are felt when we're stepping into that kind of a leadership. So that's what my chapter is about.
One of the things that you were talking about in the chapter is you talk a little bit about your background, but then you talk about that everything in your life has led to basically giving you the keys to the queendom, not the kingdom, but
right.
to the queendom. Tell me a little bit more about what does that really mean?
I appreciate that question. And yeah, I use the word queendom on purpose. Number one, because it will twerk some people or tweak some people, maybe not twerk, but tweak. Because we, as women, we have been very much indoctrinated, into kind of accepting a man's worldview and operating in a world where the masculine has been in primary power. I think that's, not very arguable at this point anymore. The women's movement most recently has really brought a lot of things to the surface. And the idea is that in this era where we're actually coming into a different evolutionary dynamic of how we share power on this planet, where we actually recognize each other as partners, and that we really embrace each other's diversity, and we really see each person as having their own gifts, that we are truly stepping into a different era of partnership, of power sharing, and that women tend to do that naturally, and that we have been doing that our whole lives. And so when we are allowed to actually step forward and do some leading and bring our visionary ability into a leadership format, that we really can make big change. We can show a different way of being. It's a way that's natural to us because of our biology, because of the design of our brain, and because of how more whole-brained we tend to be as women. We are relational to begin with, and the more we bring that into powerful places, of decision making and leadership, then the more we have an impact on changing the world. Which is why I said queendom on purpose. It's not to say away with all the men, and it's not to be a divisive or we hate guys kind of message, but more, the guys have had a lot of time, big chance, to show what they can do, and they have done many wonderful things. But there's also some stuff that's not so good, and we have some answers as women. We have answers to healing some divides that really need to be healed, and that it's our turn.
Well, I think that you're absolutely right about that. It is time for women to step up into leadership. In your chapter, you focus a lot on that accountability factor. So can you talk more about what accountability to ourselves means?
It means that, to me, so I'm being accountable to myself by answering this question this way. To me, it means doing what I can live with, doing what I feel is right. There are all kinds of voices out here in the world that want to tell me what to do, and this is true of all of us. all kinds of voices that say, well, do this and you'll get this, or do it this way and then you'll get that, and do it this way because I told you to, and do it this way because, you as a woman, you might be thought of as crazy or a little bit hysterical. I mean, we have this reputation if we're intuitive, for example, that's just nuts. And it's like, no, that's a natural function of a whole brain state. The idea of being here, that we can really come back into our own sphere and ask ourselves, can I live with this choice I'm getting ready to make right now? Am I making this choice because someone told me I should? Am I making this choice because I have no idea, and so I'm asking for advice out here that I should consider, but still I'm making a choice? Can I live with this choice? That is the bottom line to me. And accountability means that I can sleep at night based on the choices that I've made. And at the end of my life, if I'm so lucky as to live a nice, long, full life, that I don't look back and go, oh, damn, that was a bad choice, Licia. Was I true to myself through the entire time?
So that brings me to the question about being accountable to each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, coming from an indigenous point of view, which, you mentioned in my bio, my father is a Carolina Algonquin and my mother is Plains, has some Plains Indian DNA, not very much, but quite a bit on my dad's side. So the indigenous strand is strong in me. And I have always felt this understanding that I belong to the world and that the world belongs to me, and that I can't be separated from it. And so I think of our lives as threads in a tapestry, and each of us has a different color or different, or different strands, and that together, if everybody's doing their part, the tapestry is strong and united and whole and true, and it's woven together nice and tight, and it's like, yes, we're united. But that if any one of those strands of the tapestry is pulled or snagged or not tight or trying, moving in a different direction than it's supposed to be, that it really affects the whole. It affects the entire tapestry, the strength of the unity. And so these strands, of course, are a metaphor for the diversity of each of us in this planet. 7.5 billion people, that's a lot of people. And each single one of us is so unique and has such an individual voice, to offer up into the world. And that when we're doing that, we really are taking care of everybody. We're doing the thing we are here to do. We're enacting a purpose that we are perhaps, architecturally designed, almost like a blueprint, to fulfill. And in doing that, we are showing up the way we need to show up for everybody else too, supporting that tapestry. Think of it as like the orchestra. Like if everybody in the orchestra in their different instrument is tuned properly, we make beautiful music together. But if everybody's not tuned, it's like, right? Chaos. So that's how I think of being accountable. If I show up in the way I need to show up, even if you may not like it, but if I'm really, really showing up the way I need to show up, then it's going to serve the whole.
Wow, I love that. That's really a beautiful way to look at everything. And here's one, an accountability to your higher power. What does that mean?
Well, I say higher power as the most general term that I can, because I really respect the diversity with which everybody has relationship with that or not. I have a very strong relationship with my higher power that started really early. And I wrote this in a chapter, in that when I was very young, like really young, age 3 and 4, I was talking to something bigger than me that was very loving and very kind. And it talked back. I talked to it talked to me, and I felt as though it were speaking. I remember specifically standing in front of my neighbor's garden, who she had these beautiful hydrangeas, the big blue hydrangeas. I grew up in the South, for those of you that know that. But and I could see the face of this loving intelligence that was talking to me in the flower. You know, it's like the flower was imparting this message of love and caring and kindness, you know, to me. And I did that with the sky and with the ground and the animals. And, you know, so I felt a very strong relationship with that higher power. And when I was put into a Methodist preschool, I was telling the teacher and my classmates about this higher power. They called it God, so I started to call it God. And my teacher said, God does not talk to you. You do not have conversations with God. And if you do, you are going to hell. And what that taught me at, you know, the tender age of 4 was I needed to decide if I was going to listen to my own self and my experience and trust that, or if I was going to please my teacher. I wanted to be respectful, and she was the authority, and I wanted to be a good little girl and be a good student and, you know, not make trouble. But I had to decide at 4 whether I was going to listen to me or listen to her. And thankfully, for whatever reason, some say it's because I'm a Taurus or that I'm stubborn as all get out, but I listened to myself. I chose myself in that moment. And that decision all by itself has laid out my life. You know, it's put me on a path where every time there's a question about what I'm going to do, a choice I'm going to make, if I listen to myself instead of, you know, just wholesale listening to somebody else, I can live with my decision because I made that decision on my own. I'm not a victim of someone else's decision. I chose it. And that is a very powerful place to live your life from. And that's why I teach other people to listen to their inner guidance.
I understand that you've actually created C.H.A.M.P.I.O.N.S, and that leads me to another part in the chapter about the accountability to your purpose that you talk about. Can you tell me more about that and how you help people to find that soul-print?
Yeah, it's a process that I developed after decades of working with women and a few good men, but primarily women who felt a calling but couldn't quite identify what it was. And in my attempt to teach them to listen to inner guidance, I realized that they hadn't had the same number of years as I've had, decades, you know, to hone that relationship and know what I'm hearing is correct and accurate, and have testing methods, you know, to make sure that I'm not just fantasizing or making something up, you know. And I developed this process over all of these decades to actually identify essentially our architecture. And, you know, that's identified through several means. We go in through psychological processes, through neurobiological testing, and through some mysterious means. And that's where the indigenous side of me comes in, where we're actually pulling information in that we can identify our architectural soul print. And that shows us exactly what our design is, exactly, you know, what we're here to accomplish, and then also what kind of intelligence is available to us in that higher power kind of way to assist us and support us.
Wow, that sounds really exciting.
It is.
What a path to take. And again, everyone, this is just a tiny, tiny bit. Think about this. This is the questions I've asked Licia just came from her small chapter in the Champions book, For Memories in a Mansion. So if you can imagine, just in the short time we've talked, all of the information that Licia's conveyed to us, think about what having a longer conversation could be like. So with that, Licia, how can people get in contact with you if they'd like more information?
Oh, sure. Well, I've got a couple of websites out there, LiciaBerry.com, certainly, and DaughtersOfEarth.com. And then I'm on all the social media, of course, and folks are welcome to reach out. There's a group on Facebook, the Daughters of Earth group on Facebook, that's over 1,000 strong right now, that are women who are really feeling that call to midwife this new era that we're all kind of birthing right now. In case you didn't notice, there's some big stuff going on in the world. Things are not the way they used to be, and we're not going back. So it's really wonderful that there are so many wise women who are recognizing that they're being called, and they're seeking the support and the assistance they need so that they can really show up and bring their medicine into the world. So those are all places that folks can find me.
Well, thank you so much, Licia. And that brings us back to Diana. When you talk about women who are bringing their medicine into the world, Diana, tell us more about Memories in a Mansion.
I will. Thank you, Tammy. But I wanted to touch on something that Licia said. It's very easy for us, without having gone through foster care, without having gone, through trafficking or victims of domestic violence, for us to say, well, it's their fault. It's, they told me to do it. That's how we're raised.
Mm-hmm.
That's, we're not raised to take ownership of our decisions. It's always easier to look good, to, hey, it's their fault, or they told me to, and the good thing is we're responsible for our, for what happens, for the good things, but it's also true that we're responsible for what's not so good. And like she said, you're able to put your head on the pillow at night, and you can live with the decision that you made, knowing that you made it, if you're coming from the right space. Imagine learning that after having gone through all this trauma, after having gone through all the things that these young women are going through. Imagine getting the training and the tools to be able to do this from now on in your life. How empowering is that? So thank you, Licia. Thank you for your work and for everything that you're doing.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. You're welcome, and thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Let's raise each other up here. Let's raise all of us up.
Yes. And we are having an event. We are having an event for the launch on August 1st in Coconut Grove in Villa Woodbine with the author and chef. He's an author in our book, Bill Hansen. He's very well known and has delicious events and food. So we hope to see you there. Villa Woodbine, 7 to 10, August 1st. And they can reach us. Actually, you have to sign up to get tickets, obviously. So why don't you go to Facebook and go to Memories in a Mansion TM for trademark, and you'll find the event there. And you can get as many tickets as you want, so you can come and join us. You can also find us on memoriesinamansion.org, and you can email me at diana@memoriesinamansion.org.
So Facebook, Memories in a Mansion, TM, and they can get all the information about the event, or go to memoriesinamansion.org, and you can find everything out about Memories in a Mansion. That's fabulous. So Licia, before I let you go, do you have any other comments you'd like to share?
I do. Something near and dear to my heart is to ask, those questions I mentioned in the very beginning of your interview, in which what choices can I live with, and what would I die for? Those are really powerful, if not a little dramatic, but very powerful questions, to ask oneself. And for me, the question, what would I die for? The answer is truth. Truth has been my life's seeking, since the very beginning, and everything I do has originated from that seeking. What I have learned is that we are poised at the edge of a new era on this planet, and it's not anything to sniff at. It's this Aquarian or power with this partnership dynamic that we're coming into. And it couldn't be more opposite than the dynamic that we are moving out of. The power over dynamic is what we're moving out of, and the power with dynamic is what we're moving into. And so it really is this incredibly intense birthing process, because they couldn't be more different. They're almost opposites. And so the unrest and the chaos, the difficulty, many people, certainly my clients and my students and readers, are talking about how many things are falling away in their lives, how many things are changing. And some of them are hard changes, whether it's in relationship or job or health, location. I mean, big changes. And that this is all part of the process. My message, I guess, is really that we are in the hands of something much bigger. This evolution is way bigger than any one of us individually. And that by joining together as awake women, women who are paying attention and who are willing to step up into our purpose and into leadership, we can make this process less painful, and more cohesive, more coherent, and more harmonious. So I hope that others will feel the truth in those words and be inspired to join this movement too.
Well, I definitely hear the truth in those words. Diana, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you, Tammy. It is time for us women to take our place alongside the men and own our power, own our voice. Saving the life of one young woman changes the entire community she lives in, not only her families, but the entire community and the world. So if we all help just one person, just one, imagine the impact we can make in the world.
Oh.
So thank you, Licia and Diana. I really appreciate you taking the time. And everyone, remember, it's the Champions Mentoring Creates Change book project that will be benefiting Memories in a Mansion. And of course, you can go find out more at memoriesinamansion.org and find out more about Licia Berry at her website, liciaberry.com. This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.